I think we're live. It says we're live. Yes. Oh, hang on. The microphone is angled down because professional. Welcome everyone to another political recap stream on the Moisky Live channel. It's been a busy week. Very busy. Joining me for this mess is Trups LP. Say hello, Trups LP.
Hello, Trups LP.
How is Trups LP?
I'm sipping on some Knob Creek whiskey right now, so I'm doing pretty well.
I may have to try that in the future. I really should change the image on the screen. People are going to see a black screen and be confused. So I'll put this picture up here that Edward Shaw in my chat drew of Michelle Barnier sat on the naughty step.
Indeed.
I think it's appropriate. We asked about it last week, and there it is. Glorious.
Yes, good.
Thank you, Edward Shaw. That's very nice. Hope everyone's having a lovely week. It's, as stated, been quite busy for me. And I assume for Trups as well, hopefully, because you mentioned weeks have been pretty dull for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was able to put up videos, and that was really the important part.
That's a big
deal. And, I was laughing at myself as I was putting up my last one because I started just doing keyframing, for shits and giggles. And I made myself laugh while editing.
Oh, really?
So that usually means that you're making something at least mildly entertaining.
That's, yeah, true. I would say I agree, but I do that a lot, and I don't get any laughs at all in response.
Well, I laugh at one of your videos in which you started breaking down laughing, and then I watched you keyframe your avatar into, like, just falling over itself.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 days ago or something like that.
Those are genuine laughs as well. Because
Yeah,
I've thought about something like licking. I thought it was really clever to say licking a 9-volt battery, but I apparently offended people. Actually, I mentioned just before we started that stream with not the stream, the video that did quite well on this channel. I had one person in the comments accusing me of being a massive racist for attacking Diane Abbott's son for all the things he's been accused of, and I did say allegedly. I never said, "Bro, you did this," because it hasn't been proven yet. But then I read the comments and realised he might have a point with some of the people referring to Abbott in rather derogatory ways. That was nice.
Well, then that's your comment section, not you, though.
Yeah, I really should read them over there more often. I do, but I don't do it as much as
I read my comments. I only have like 12.
Subscribe to Trups, everyone. Before we start, because I do want to do one good thing. In today's video on both channels, I mentioned a friend of mine. The channel used to be called Feminism is for Nobody. When I had about 3, maybe 4 subscribers, I saw him comment on a Goodfella video that he made a video covering the same subject. I clicked on his channel, watched the video, left a comment. He asked how I found him, and over the course of a couple of weeks, we would comment in each other's videos, and he introduced me to a Skype group called the B-List, which had, well, most notable name including Undoomed and Lauren Southern in. And these were when they were nobody channels. There was like 40, maybe 50 creators here. And
yeah,
I used to hang out with this guy all the time, talking and everything. And he was very recently diagnosed with cancer. He's only 20. That is a really shit. That's a really shit deal. So in the description of this stream, I have put his GoFundMe. If you can, please consider donating to him and not to me tonight. And if anyone does, I'm just going to put it on his GoFundMe anyway. Okay, thank you. Where should we start, by the way?
You know what? Let's start with lighthearted. Let's go with royal separation.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
lighthearted for Americans because
I've got it. Yeah,
we outlawed loyalty.
I don't know why you do that. Not when you can have such cool kids like Harry and Meghan. I honestly, by the way, know so little about Meghan Markle beyond Suits, and I only know of that show because someone made me watch it. And I just don't know. It's an interesting one because, okay, so for those who don't know, earlier this week, Meghan and Harry, Windsor, they they announced they're stepping away from senior duties in the royal family, citing a number of reasons. Many have speculated also it was down to the scrutiny Harry gets, down to the fact that Meghan is meddling in royal affairs, and yeah, it's kind of stupid really to speculate on it. But there was one tell,
Nosy bitch.
right? How dare people who are in what one can consider the most public of offices be put under any level of scrutiny? How dare they? I mean, how that's just terrible.
Well, public office and like
You are the
a
ambassadors of
public
this
figure is a
country.
little
Yeah,
different.
you're kind of the pub. You're the you are the it's like you are a public figure. That's correct. It's not in office, is it? But they do have
Hmm.
royal duties that put them in a office of sorts. It's a lot of ambassadorial and charity work. It's quite important. And ever since they got married, the only thing I've ever heard about from them is the constant complaints about the public media scrutiny. The media, always the media. The problem is constantly baiting the media by telling them they're bad is not going to end well for you, and then constantly reminding everyone that Harry's mother died in a car crash, being chased by paparazzi or whatever they were, with a drunk at the wheel, I believe. Which, as we all
Was
know,
that?
was also something done by a swan with a cigar in its mouth, as you all know.
Oh yes, of course.
I have the image somewhere. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I found it. Don't worry, I gotcha.
Gonna say that better be queued up all the time.
Oh, it's always there ready. It's just I had the Barnier image over the top. So it's one of those really silly little things where I get the feeling that while Meghan would want to be more, I mean, even maybe even Harry wants to just have a normal life. They are bound by duty to serve the country. However, the Queen and this is where the speculation has to end to an extent. There was a leak that indicated the Queen wanted to reduce the monarchy, and by reduce I mean there are so many of them now, offspring that is. They can hold on to a title and maybe a stipend, but they really shouldn't be getting as much as they are getting, and they shouldn't have all the duties they have anyway. Since Harry has shown a reluctance to participate and instead spend his time in Africa and Canada, which is interesting because the mansion they're hiding in Canada is owned by a Russian guy who's known for hiding his money very well.
It's in the walls.
It's in the walls, yes. I don't know. And so it's not a case with them stepping away. It seemed like the right thing anyway, because they're not going to be. They don't want to be involved. Realistically, the only ones you want involved these days are the Queen, Charles, and William. Those are the only ones that should be considered any kind of, and George, of course, who is obviously William's son. Otherwise, there is no real. You don't need to worry about Harry. He is so far down the pecking order.
Yeah, which one's the crown prince?
Charles is next.
Okay.
So Charles, he's 70 though, so he wouldn't be on the throne long. If he takes it at all. I think he'd be a great fit now. He's actually quite popular compared to Harry. And William's always been popular. There were calls shortly after this all started for, I think there was a Labour MP who wants to table an amendment to, excuse me, have a referendum bill even, to amend a referendum to get rid of the royal family. The problem with that is, it's not going to happen. Much like the grassroots people Labour abandoned at the last general election and lost to the Conservatives, those same grassroots people are surprisingly patriotic. If they're very nationalist in the sense of not wanting to be a part of the EU, you can be damn certain they are also not interested in losing the monarchy. Something that cannot happen anyway. This constant bleating on about getting rid of the royal family. The fact, another reason, by the way, there's another straw that broke the camel's back that forced the Queen's hand to do this is Andrew. He's had to be removed from public office, and yeah, understandably, he's basically he was a patron to a number of charities, a vice chancellor to a university, all gone. Sayonara, you are done. Enjoy retirement with the many millions you've hidden, while living a lifestyle that will undoubtedly whittle that down within a few years.
Yeah, I mean, he was disgraced, and honestly, rightly so. So
at this point, with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, Meghan Windsor even, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they have their Wessex title removed. I wouldn't be, although I believe that was a wedding gift. I wouldn't be surprised if the title was removed if they are no longer involved in royal duties, because the title, while given, there is a responsibility that comes with it, and if you are not doing, it's like having a PhD. If you're not contributing anything towards the subject matter, what use is the title? It is paper, and that's it. It's not a valid title anymore. And if anything, it brings more shame to the title of Wessex. I think that's a key point, really. And I think when people go on TV and they're bleating on about it's the media, and Harry hasn't gotten over the death of his mother, I'm sure he hasn't. I can understand that. I promise him that. But then you look at how his brothers handled it, and look how the family's divided. The family's been split, and I don't believe that was because Harry and Will weren't close, because if anyone remembers anything about Harry and Will, they were inseparable. They genuinely were. So it's quite astonishing that that's happened.
yeah, but he's the little one, right? So
Yeah, but brothers are brothers. You don't.
yeah, but from a guy with an older brother,
I do get.
Like I'll tell you, like we're
I get
inseparable, sure, but
yes. So I understand. I do get that.
We'll still be very different.
I get that. But then you see how these two live in the public eye. It's just no. I know that there was one key, obvious, one massive separation, and that is that William was always being set up to be king. That was always going to be a minor issue. But I think it's quite fascinating to see how their relationship has fallen apart as quickly as it has, in the space of a year, in fact, to the point where they're no longer communicating. That is interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised, excuse me, because now they've pulled themselves away from senior duties. That means they want to be self-sufficient, which kind of contravenes a few royal issues here, where you are paid by the royal family. That's how it works. You don't earn your own money away from it. And so them separating makes people wonder if he's going to abdicate his whole thing and just go to be Harry, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, that has happened in the royal family once before, quite a while back, with a king, I believe, who abdicated, and then it went to Queen Elizabeth's dad, didn't it? Because
I feel like it should only be. I feel like it should only be the nuclear family that is literally given the title of prince or whatever.
Well, in that respect, he was. Wasn't
well, sure, but I'm talking about like your queen now, and then that nuclear family. If you are within one generation, then it doesn't matter if you're prince or not.
Okay, it's a fair point. I think
because it's not like you.
I know
the title prince does kind of give you a certain amount of like, oh, prince. That means you could be king. Yeah, well, if something were to befall all four people in line ahead of me, of course, yeah.
Yeah, and Damien, thank you very much. I didn't know what the name of the guy was. Edward the 8th. Yes. There's a cat at my window. My apologies. I'm going to go get her. Yeah, meow.
Okay.
I'm going to get her.
As an American looking at this whole thing, It just looks like a publicity thing. Like honestly, watching Meghan like marry into the royal family, I couldn't have cared less.
I don't
I
think
saw
many
so much
did.
press about the royal wedding, about how interesting it was gonna be, and how like, oh my god, it's amazing. Look at all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, but who the fuck is this bitch?
I think a lot of people
Like,
they got annoyed with it, especially in this area, because this area, the town of Deal, is incredibly popular with the Queen. Oddly enough, she even has a whole building here built because of her, for her, because it was made, when she wants to come down here. When Markle and all that started, and they were having a kid, and she was talking about race, she was talking about feminism, people here rolled their eyes. They just don't care for any of that. And there are people, and I'm not just talking about the old white people. I'm talking about anyone that lives around here. They just rolled their eyes because they do not care about your race. We don't care how important it is to you. We don't care about your feminism either. It's just, it means nothing to us, the commoners. Can't go there.
indeed, us peasants are only mere,
Well, we're peasants.
mere ants in comparison.
In comparison, yeah. I actually did
And
wonder.
honestly, let's be perfectly honest. So is she.
Well, she probably did make a decent salary off suits at least.
Yeah, oh, sure, but she's still a peasant.
By comparison, yes.
I mean, none of us are Jeff Bezos, obviously. Like that kind of money, or Elon Musk for that matter.
Or a
Like if with that
sourpuss.
kind of money, sure, we could ascend to maybe slightly above peasant. But
But then you can't,
you know,
you can't breed class apparently.
well, apparently not. At least not in America, and not through feminism. You can't breed class.
No. Oh God.
You can breed class through respect, through having a family around you and
Hmm.
instilling some kind of morals. But we know very well that the left-leaning sides of our respective countries don't have those.
Yeah. I would say there were some body behavioral psychologists, and it's in the chat. Wonderingly, some makes the point in the chat about having Harry wrapped around a finger. Some behavioral psychologists did analyze the way they talk, and they are in sync because he'll start a sentence, she'll finish it. But when he stops, I can't tell if he's stopping because he can't tell how to finish his sentence, or if he just wants her to finish it because he can't be asked. Which does, and honestly, when I think about Harry, sounds more like him, to be honest. At the same time,
Yeah, but
though,
I also give him more credit than her because I feel like, okay, well, let me take that back. She is a woman of words, and he is a man of action. The only reason I would say that is because of his history in the military,
yeah,
which
he
I still
wanted
think is commendable.
he wanted it, he was going to be deployed until someone bloody well announced it, and it was like, okay, ISIS might target him. Look for the ginger guy hiding in the shade. That was such a stupid thing to do. He could have actually been on the front line had they not announced it. And by the way, yes,
Right.
Prospero, you're right. It was announced on that birthday. That is another, because there is obvious friction there between the four of them, and I think it's another one of those well-timed, like attention steals.
Who's the Duchess of Cambridge?
Kate,
Oh,
Will's
okay.
wife.
Okay, got it.
Yeah,
Well, okay, so coming from a family
yeah.
with many individuals in it, um, my sister got married in the month of October, right? So that means for my future, I likely should not get married in the month of October.
Yeah, you don't want to draw attention to it.
Right. I don't want to take attention away from
Sorry, that's what I meant.
her.
Yeah, I meant that. Sorry, I
Yeah.
had a cat on my hand.
So,
I'm sorry.
yes, no, I understand. Pussy is important.
Yes.
Um, um,
Well done.
thank you. I bought one. Yes. Um, sorry, I lost my train of thought doing that.
You're talking about not stealing attention from others.
Right. Yeah.
I
It's
do.
not
I
stealing
totally
attention.
agree.
So, but like, especially with that kind of a thing, like, there's so much like poise, and that you kind of want to give them certain space and certain times,
Hmm.
um, and just don't be a dick because in private you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I genuinely. Okay, so as I obviously I don't maybe don't have as many siblings. I have three sisters. Do you have more than me?
Oh no, I only have two siblings.
Okay, well, I don't generally make it a point to draw attention to myself. I'm the mid. I'm apparently the quintessential middle child. I just get on with things and ignore most things.
Okay, so you're
And
like my brother.
when others, when others have parties, draw attention to it. It's all good. Want to go to a Waffle House? Sure, I'll go with you to a Waffle House. Celebrate your birthday.
You guys have a Waffle House over there?
We have one called Casper's, and I actually quite like it. I want
Waffle
to go. I
House is
want to go. I want to
amazing.
go for my birthday next week. I actually want to go. It'd be cool.
Well, when you
Um.
come down here, I'll take you to Waffle House, man.
Oh right, we don't have Waffle House.
No, no,
Uh,
I'll take you to a legit fucking Waffle House. We'll get you absolutely fucking smashed, and we'll go to Waffle House.
Sweet. It'll take a lot to get me drunk, though, right?
I've got 180 proof.
Yeah,
We can work it out.
sounds like a good pre-drink then.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. So as the typical middle child, though, I don't generally, and it's I guess somewhat unironic considering all I do on YouTube is draw attention to myself. But in a different
Do
context.
you? Are you sure?
I'm not very good at it, I'll admit. I'm a stealth YouTuber, remember? But there is that cliche of others with the siblings though. They do like the attention, and they'll draw it to themselves, and they'll do it over each other, and it's a pissing contest. And I stand back and just like, it's not a pissing contest. There is never a need for it, but it does feel like, that's where this is going. Like, oh, you wanna do something on your birthday? No, no, no. I want to announce something. It's more important than you, peasant. You're only a Duchess of Cambridge. Oik. Should be ashamed of yourself.
Speaking of people with titles that don't do anything, you want to talk about the House of Lords?
Yes, let me go and get that image on screen. House of Lords. House of Lordy Lords. Right, so the House of Lords now have the Brexit withdrawal agreement. The fact now is that this now has to go through them. If it is passed, it will then be ratified and official that we will then leave on the 31st of January. Although, to be honest, we should still be leaving then anyway. It may not come with a withdrawal agreement. And that is a sad day, wondering Lisa F in the chat for Bowie. Thank you. So, the House of Lords have kind of done some body blows to Boris because they have a European Union committee that have decided to now pipe up and say that they fear the UK-EU Joint Committee now lacks transparency or any potential democratic oversight, wanting more people to analyse in the short term. The thing is, the EU Joint Committee has the ability to amend the withdrawal agreement unilaterally, while decisions from the group are legally binding for the UK and the EU without any parliamentary guidance. That kind of makes sense, though. So I don't really understand. Now, what they mean is they want more people to scrutinise the withdrawal agreement, and they want MEPs to have a stronger role in being able to assess the Brexit deal in Brussels, which is a huge delay. That's what they want. Many House of Lords peers have vested and financial interests in continental Europe. It is known, established, and proven. I would, by the way, to Stephen O'Kane, I don't necessarily want them abolished. I want them replaced with the Senate, but I still want the Queen. So, what do I know? And I like the Queen. Okay,
I like the Queen, and I'm not even English.
you'd be very hard pressed to find someone who could actually say and do it, not kneel when the Queen says, "Down, peasant."
Well, the thing is, she's so wonderfully American in her fucking like ferocity.
Yeah, she's got a good sense of humor as well.
Yeah, and so like it's pretty endearing, honestly.
Yeah. So Lord, what's his name? Lord Canule. He's the chair of the House of Lords EU Committee. He said that, where's the quote? The revised EU withdrawal agreement has significantly weaker arrangements for transparency and democratic oversight, wanting more oversight because there isn't already enough of it in there anyway. And that we are concerned that so much of the cat get out of my face, Thank you. Much of the detail of the withdrawal agreement, meow, is being left to the EU-UK Joint Committee, a body that will not be subjected to any parliamentary oversight, and that may not even publish details of the decisions it reaches. Which is not true. At all. This all has to go through and be approved by both sides regardless. And they say that it lacks provisions. There is a lack in that respect-ish. But in reality, they found a tiny little detail that actually in reality doesn't mean as much as they seem to think it does. And they've turned it into a monstrous issue. I find the House of Lords to be quite irritating on Brexit because they are renowned for causing more delays. The fact is now, the deal has been approved by Parliament. It took 3 days. It got through. Okay? The whole bill is now through. It just has to go through these guys, and they're going to take their time. The thing is, they have to get it done by the end of next week, realistically. Because it's going to take enough time to get it all ratified through EU as well, who then themselves have to sign it so that it is official and legal. And if the House of Lords don't pull their thumbs out, they're really going to start pissing everyone off. I mean, excuse me. I just want to, leave. Is that too much to ask? Can we leave now? Are we allowed to? Can we leave?
That depends. Who's in charge?
Boris. No, although if he says that we're leaving, can you really tell he said that, considering nobody can actually understand a word that comes out of his mouth?
Does he tend to fumble?
He says that's what he says. It's a form of English. I think it's what it is his brain moves faster than his mouth, and his mouth can't calculate what his brain's just said. Which kind of sounds perfect for Boris, to be honest. It doesn't necessarily mean most of what comes out of his mouth is interesting or intellectual or sensible. It's just what Boris does. Meow. What do you think?
See, the thing is, I like Boris, and like a lot of memers have likened Boris to Trump.
Oh, they have, yeah. They
So,
want to character assassinate him like that.
Yeah, well, I've seen plenty of Warhammer pictures of
God Emperor.
of Boris. No, not of the God Emperor. The God Emperor is still Trump. But I believe he's oh god, what the fuck's his name?
Let me go and have a look. Is it Osaka Creed?
Maybe?
He's the Imperial Guard General.
Yes.
Right, it might be Osaka Creed and Warhammer meme. Let's have a look. No, I've got lots of lightsaber stuff at the moment. Give me a moment. Get off the keyboard. Oh no, it's a Black Templar Space Marine. One with a shield and a bolt gun. That looks good. Black Templar, very nice. Osaka Creed, yeah. I know it's Jaren Kell holding the British flag, yeah?
That's what it is.
No,
I knew it because I had the picture and I was about to just send it to you.
Oh no, it might be.
That works.
No, the coat is Osaka. No, it's Osaka Creed. Jaren Kell's behind it. They've merged two pictures. That's not the original. I swear the arm isn't. No, it's not right. It is Osaka Creed, but the arm holding the flag is not Osaka Creed's arm. That is his friend Jaren Kell's. I know my Warhammer. I will not be done on this.
I won't criticize, but I assume the picture is
it's Cadian Imperial Guard. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yes. Okay. Yes. I
will put it on the screen in a moment for everyone to see. House of Lords. Let's change that image.
I apologize for tangents that I put this stream through, but I hope it entertains you as much as it entertains my ADHD.
There you go. Pictures on the screen for everyone. I can't fit it on the screen without ruining the image, so it's best I can do. But it does look nice.
Praise be to the God Emperor.
Oh no,
Exterminatus.
I'm gonna get people in the comments afterwards being like,
Yes, that exact picture. Okay.
why do people like him? He's got a Trump sympathizer on or something. I'm like, I can't be
Who,
asked for you.
me?
I get comments like that now. I don't know
Oh,
why.
go fuck yourself. That's my response to you.
Buy me dinner first.
I
Oh,
said you go fuck yourself. You can buy yourself dinner.
oh, that sounds like a lot of effort.
I'm an equal opportunist.
Equal opportunist. But equal outcome. That's interesting. I like this. By the way,
Anywho's.
on the God Emperor thing, there was actually one of Putin instead as God Emperor. I find
Yeah,
this.
that's a little bit more of a cynical approach.
I think it's quite interesting. But yeah, that's a good picture of Osaka Creed and Jaren Kell merged together. Bit of Photoshop.
Yeah.
Although actually, maybe
I was wondering why the arm seemed attached.
yeah. So well, basically, you notice actually the arm is his actual arm is underneath the coat. So it's actually
Yeah.
you can see it at his side anyway. I think
I wonder if he's like leaning forward or something.
no, in the actual image, he is just stood like that. He keeps his arms inside the coat. But Jaren Kell's meant to be further back, so they've moved him forward. I don't know. It's yeah, it's just a bit
I
of
still
history.
want my Putin calendar. Is that a nude calendar?
I honestly, I don't know.
Send rubles.
Uh,
Yeah.
sure.
So your House of Lords is basically fobbing off like
Well, a committee of them, yes.
our House of Representatives is fobbing off with the impeachment. Yeah.
Yeah, a committee within the House of Lords has done that. And that doesn't mean necessarily all of them. Of course not. However, they do tend to listen to each other because money.
Hi, Lucy. I'm drawing attention to you, so Meg fangirls apparently.
I know. She's a patron. Hello,
Anyway.
Lucy. What do you think about the idea of the House of Lords? Do you actually think it's...
No, see, okay. So I don't like that a royal, by virtue of them owning land or having a royal title, gets a say in government.
Or a peerage?
Yes, or that. We did away with that. Originally, the way our voting worked in the United States was you could only vote if you owned land. And the reason for that was essentially that those who were taxed usually owned land. So they would be the ones that actually would, well, be unfortunate enough to then have to pay into the government.
Mm-hmm.
So they should have a right to say in the government. That's how you had a lot of minorities, or what you would consider now, or not you, but others would consider now as discriminated people in the United States as not being allowed to vote.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, if you weren't being taxed, what really did you have to say about it, right?
True.
So, in my opinion, I don't like the idea that people, by virtue of having a royal title or some kind of a special title, get to instinctively just have a say in politics, because I mean this is a career job. As much as I hate career politicians, there's a certain amount that you do have to devote to spending and learning about. Excuse me. And yeah, no, I don't think just because you have a title you are intrinsically educated in such a way.
I tend to agree. I really do.
So
And
I don't like the idea.
the House of Lords are also meant to represent, much like MPs, regions of the country. They speak on behalf of them in a more, they're supposed to be more air quote here, grounded manner. So if you are a lord of and then enter that name of land there, you're meant to represent them like an MP to an extent. Some House of Lords is hereditary, Christina, some. Others are given life peerages from the House of Commons in New Year's Honours List. So it does depend on some. But there are a number of hereditary peerages, yes, and I don't agree with them either. They're normally just formerly very wealthy people now who are all utterly bankrupt but still managing to exist without money, but exist in a way that makes them look wealthy, and also wealthy because they get a lot of money from the House of Lords because of their hereditary peerage. which is a real kick in the balls, really. I don't think it'd be
Patriarch
good.
of the Sith. Hey, how about we set the UK their very own Statue of Liberty after Brexit, one of the God Emperor Trump.
Oh
I
Jesus
think we can. I
Christ!
think we can do even better,
Oh no,
and we
our
can
own
make
Staten
France
Island.
build it.
Give us our
We
own
can
little
make
island.
France build it.
Oh, give us our own little island as well, but make it in the shape of I don't know what can we make in the shape something really
An
trippy.
Imperium Eagle.
You mean the double-headed eagle, the Aquila?
Yeah, the
Yes.
Aquila. But I was trying
Uh,
to be specific to those who were
I like
not.
that. I like that actually. No,
Because
I
if
approve.
I say the Aquila, then they'll just be like, "What?" Like the eagle.
Ah, right. Well, I know it's pronounced. I've heard people say both ways. To be fair, I don't really mind.
Fun
Um,
story. My LARP character, the double-headed eagle is actually the symbol of the nation that my LARP character represents. So I have spent a lot of time going through Warhammer Imperium of Man, like tagged items on Amazon and Etsy and shit.
mhm.
It's pretty entertaining. I'm
It
waiting until
is
I can find a use to pull out
nice,
a full fucking flag and like
nice.
post it outside one of my buildings.
That is actually really cool. That really is. Um,
I'm
I say
entertained
it
by
as
it.
I'm caressing my Warhammer chain sword. Yes.
Good, 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 good. Yes, I approve.
Mm.
I have a. Apparently, it's just because the Russians and the Polish have had the double-headed eagle in the past.
Yes.
Usually, the Byzantines, I believe, as they
Mm-hmm.
broke up and then reestablished their area,
No,
they
cat sticking your
they
claws in my
basically
beard does not
continued.
stroke my beard. No, don't do
Put it
that.
on the Isle of White. Thank you.
Whew.
All right,
Yes.
so shall
Should
we
we,
talk about Iran?
yes, let's talk about the rather amazing things going on in Iran. I'm going to put Iran flag on the screen for a minute. Do you want the video first, or just leave the flag there so you can talk for a bit?
We'll do the flag first.
All right, go on then.
Because let me give you the context of where we were since last week.
Please do.
So if I recall, last week on Friday, I believe we had already killed Soleimani, and I believe had they already attacked U.S. bases, or was that
They
the night
missed.
of?
That was the night of they missed, and we were laughing
Okay,
about
so
it.
yes, then the night of they retaliated, fired a several missiles, about a dozen, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
and they did minor damage to U.S. coalition bases, meaning they're technically Iraqi bases that were holding U.S. Troops.
Ah, right. Hang on. No, I should be clear. We didn't discuss that because I talked about it on my PMQ stream because I was laughing about how utterly stupid it was.
Ah, okay,
So it definitely happened after the stream. But please continue.
okay. Yes, so they attacked, and it was supposed to be a show of strength and retaliation against the Great Satan, which is what the Iranians called the U.S.
Well, of course they
You
are.
know, it's funny. They chanted "Death to America" and then clarified later because when we say "Death to America," we mean Trump.
Oh,
I was like,
right.
oh, I'm so glad you clarified that. It's like a fucking keyboard warrior online getting called out, be like, "Do you really mean all white people?" Goes, "No, just those white people." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
I'll be honest, it sounds more like a school bully asking his friends to hold him back when he wants to fight somebody.
Yeah, actually, it does feel that way. And honestly, I did sit and discuss this because um honestly, after we killed Soleimani, there were only a couple options, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from the Iranian standpoint, their second to the top guy got basically, burned out completely. He got
Mm-hmm.
killed.
Yeah.
So from Iran's point of view, they had two options. They could either retaliate and say we're not going to take this kind of shit, or they could not retaliate and then the people would see them as weak.
Yeah.
So that means that as far as the Iranians were concerned, they only had one option. They had to retaliate. However, should the Iranians have hit any US citizens, there would have been hell to pay. Trump
Oh
had
yeah.
already launched B 52 bombers and was ready to lay waste to, as he said, 52 cultural sites within Iran for the 52 hostages that were held in 1979 Iran hostage crisis.
That's holding a grudge, isn't it?
A little bit,
Jeez.
yeah.
I should say,
And I'm not.
before you continue with your story, I'll give you the very brief Cliff's Notes of Parliament. All 6 questions Corbyn had, he wasted on this subject, and he used it as an excuse to say the only reason you're backing America is because you want that Trump-style trade deal, which will lower food standards. No. Boris even replied, Soleimani was known to have armed the very terrorists we were fighting.
Yeah, but they're Jeremy Corbyn's friends, remember?
Shh.
They're Hamas and Hezbollah.
You're lying, comrade.
Oh, right. For glorious empire, I forgot, comrade. We do the
Mother
things.
Russia. Let me get some vodka.
Das Muglianka. Okay.
Carry on, please.
I actually quite enjoy Red Army choir music. Just want to point that out. I really enjoy that. I think that it's actually a very nice male choir sound. But that's because I'm a music geek as well. Tangent over.
Sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple favorite ones. My favorite ones are Smuglianka, Katyusha. Kalinka is a great drinking song.
Oh. I have a cat hanging upside down on my chest. I'm not even kidding.
Cat things. So back to Iran. So they had to retaliate essentially. So they launched about a dozen missiles at coalition bases and sustained minor damage, but killed no one. No Iraqis, no Americans. Iran local news reported that there were over 300 casualties, and that Americans were sending in choppers to remove 80 American bodies that were killed, which means that other 220 would have had to be Iraqis. That was all demonstrably false because as far as the people with Trump derangement syndrome go, they don't believe anything he says, so it's hard for them to believe that. But it's very hard to keep Karen, the mother of a dead U.S. soldier, quiet.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that no one has apparently reported that their son isn't answering a phone call probably means that Trump was telling the truth. There were no U.S. casualties.
Yeah.
At least as of right now.
Right.
So that all happened. Now, allegedly, this came out the next day. Iran informed Iraqis to tell the Americans that they were going to retaliate to move their units so they didn't die. Which basically sounds like, hey, by the way, we need to retaliate so that our people don't revolt against us. But if we kill you guys, Trump's going to kill us. So we're telling you we're going to launch a missile. We're going to launch a bunch of them. Move your people so none of them die, and we can just leave it at that, right? Let's do that. Which is the most pussy thing I've ever heard.
Amazing.
Didn't MSNBC air the Iranian propaganda? Yes, they did.
Absolutely amazing. That is really a special kind of coward.
Well, not only that, right? But they then continued to shit talk online.
Yeah.
Now I get it. If you're trying to keep an image, I hate to trivialize this to such a low degree, but you know how YouTubers will have beef with one another in front of people.
Yeah.
But privately, they are talking to one another casually.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. That's politics, is what I've basically found. And this is an example of that. Yeah, the Ayatollah Khomeini is a dick, but he's also not about to start a world war, but he's going to make his public think he is, because that's what the public wants to hear. Which just confuses me. Oh yeah. So the day after, by the way, an earthquake hit Iran,
Okay.
and Imam Tahiti, the guy who basically calls out Islam,
Yeah, he
uh,
does.
he wrote that story and wrote the caption, "Allah is not pleased with Iran."
Oh, jeez.
I was like, Jesus Christ. Um,
That's a bold move.
it is. But it gets better because, and this is the news that you'll hear as of lately, after they finish firing missiles, Iran allegedly downed a Ukrainian airplane
Hmm.
commercial headed from Tehran heading towards Kiev.
Oh, I heard about that. Is that the video you want me to
Yeah.
show?
Yes, please.
Right, hang on. Close that. This. Right. Video. I'm going to mute it. Pressing play. There we go.
Right. So this video is at least reported by the Telegram, but it's taken by passersby and an Iranian student news or agency. And in it, the first clip you can see essentially um, a a light suddenly get hit with something else and be engulfed in what is fire. It appears to literally light on fire. Um, the secondary video, the one that was posted out by the Iranian Student News organization, then shows the plane crashing down and crashing into the ground with an extreme explosion.
Okay. I've stopped it because it's just repeating, I think. Yeah, it
That's
is.
fine.
Cat, what are you doing? Stop it. Go back to.
Bjorn, don't give out spoilers. I'm getting there. Um, at the time of this information, um, a lot of countries were saying they may have, it might have been accidental, these kinds of things. The Canadian Prime Minister was definitely one of those people. All 176 people on board died. I believe it was 56 of them were Canadians, three UK citizens, and the rest were Iranians.
That's, yeah. That's a fair few people.
Um, Now, I will get to the bulldozing in a second.
Okay, so what's. Oh, yeah. Don't. Obviously, skip
Um,
ahead if you don't have to.
right. So all this happened, and the speculation was that it was shot down on accident because they were worried that if that message hadn't gotten through the proxies, the Iraqi proxies, that the U.S. would launch bombers. At least that's what was reported.
Okay.
Except that it launched out of Tehran airport, which means an air traffic controller gave this plane the go-ahead to fly.
Huh.
Now, some people are saying that it was, or at least the Iranians, tried to say that it was a mechanical error. That in the video you can see it turning around, right? It was trying to turn around before it burst into flames.
Okay.
In my professional opinion, and this is in fact a professional opinion, meaning I do this for a living, an engine fire does not engulf your entire plane in flames. In fact, only will ignite one of the two engines. In this case, it was a Boeing 737-800 series. And in the crash part of the video, you see it engulfed in flame, about to crash into the ground. Right before it hits the ground, you see that it has a minor explosion. Based on that, I assumed that it was because the fuel lines and fuel tanks had finally caught on fire themselves and ignited and exploded. This would happen should there be electrical power that was completely taken out of the airplane or your pilots were dead. There's a button you have to press when you have an engine fire. Most Boeing planes have an automatic fire suppression system. At least the Boeing 737s do.
Do they?
But that only works if there's still electricity going to that plane. Additionally to that, there is also reports that its transponder, the thing that radios to all surrounding aircraft, air traffic controllers, and radar operators that there is a plane in the vicinity, was knocked out of commission 3 minutes after takeoff. Again, one of the interesting things about a transponder, especially your main transponder, is that it runs on regular battery power and emergency battery power. So even if all of your other instrument panels are taken out, that will still work because it needs to. That is how the air traffic controllers can find you. If that thing was gone and that plane was still in the air, that means it was probably shot out. Now, because that thing has a radar altimeter attached to it, basically a radar that tells you how high in the air are you, it usually has a radar pointed towards the ground, which means it's on the underside of the airplane. Most surface-to-air missiles come from the ground. It wouldn't be too surprising to find out that a plane that lost a transponder got hit on the underside. If you lose a wing, you're fucked probably, yeah. But not many planes just snap their wings. Even if you have all your flaps and spoilers deployed at 200 knots, you'll just lose your flaps and spoilers. A transponder, is that one of the 70-odd genders? No. That's funny. So all of that, plus the videos that we have, including the one of the actual impact, the first video, that one actually has a sound that plays, and you can hear the impact sound. It makes a sort of sonic boom as it contacts the airplane. Every avionics expert, in which I will assume that I am at least an intermediary avionics expert, will tell you that that was not a mechanical malfunction. There's no way in hell.
So what happens now?
So the 176 dead, Iran is exclusively to blame for this plane being shot down. So what's any person who has absolutely done an oopsie do before mom gets home? Tries to sweep it under the rug. They bulldozed the site of the crash.
Oh no, they went cleanup crew.
Oh, they did, and there were investigators, international investigators, headed to the site to investigate what happened, including pictures that have surfaced online already of the crash site with anti-aircraft missiles.
Oh no.
So the fact that A, they're not releasing the black box to Boeing, and B, they bulldozed the site of the crash to hide their mistake, leads me to believe that they know damn well they fucked up.
Oh, they done goofed.
Big time, because civilians are non-combatants.
Yeah, they're kind of a no-no really in all this, aren't they?
Commercial airlines always have to be allowed to fly during wartime, and the reason for it is because high elites of each one of these countries uses some kind of avionics travel. If they can't reasonably fly, then the people in charge of the war are going to be in danger. And of course, they will be less likely to engage in war.
Okay, before you continue that, Ian Houston, thank you for the £5 donation. Iran needs a kick in the pants. I will be donating that to Fiffin after this stream. Thank you, though. I do actually want to ask quickly, you mentioned the commercial flights must always be allowed to fly during times of war.
Yes.
Is this some kind of Geneva Convention or something?
Well, it's kind of international, like common parlance,
Oh, really?
because,
I didn't know that. That's cool.
like, for example,
Journalists wearing the is it blue they have to wear or something?
something like that.
Okay.
Essentially, because commercial airlines is international, there is common parlance that commercial airlines need to be able to operate well cleanly. They have to be able to continue to operate because let's say suddenly what you have right now, for instance, Iraq and Iran, commercial airlines are reluctant to fly over
Mm-hmm.
that airspace. That means that if you're in Iraq and you planned to go on a trip to Uzbekistan, you're not able to because you guys are in war and some dumbass didn't know what a commercial airline was and shot it down. And if you're in Iran and you have a trip to, I don't know, Morocco, you can't go because our own anti-aircraft shot down our own flight. So most people won't shoot down commercial airliners. There's this lovely little thing that's called an IFF, and it's identify friend or foe. This exists in wartime. It exists on the sea. It exists on the air, all that kind of stuff. It basically says, okay, what are you? And should I be concerned?
Okay.
If you don't respond, you're likely going to get shot. If you do respond and you say, I'm a commercial airline, blah, 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 doing this thing, you're good. They won't shoot you, usually, unless it's, a country that has gone all out war against, everyone.
Right.
Because that's one of those things that you do because if you fuck up any other country, for example, right now with the Ukrainian plane and the Canadian citizens, you now have two other countries pissed off at you. That you blew up one of their planes and you killed 56 civilians. So now, not only is the U.S. and Iran having beef, but now Canada and Iran have a beef, and the Ukraine and Iran have a beef.
Okay. Well, then this is
So
gonna get
basically,
very messy.
this went south real big. If they had just not shot, if the plane didn't go down,
Yeah.
we could have just been like, okay, cool, we handled that situation. Everyone stepped aside. Everyone is now not being that kind of shit.
I feel sorry. I feel
But
slightly sorry
because
to Iran. Just a little sorry for them, but not so much.
I do because, well, okay, I don't because somebody had to fire that shit.
Yeah.
Someone had to fire that missile.
Right.
It wasn't an anti-aircraft gun that fires automatically. It was a missile.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's wasn't Congress voting on limited Trump's actions in Iran? Yes, except for the fact that it was a completely symbolic vote because of the UAMF, which I believe is oh god, what does that mean again? It's the
I don't know what it's called. I'm afraid, otherwise I'd help.
I'm trying to remember. It's something that has to do with military force. It's like
Okay. Well, while you work that out, I'm going to put a picture of the cat on the screen because she's being a pain in the ass.
authorization for use of military force against active terrorists and active threats against U.S. sovereignty and U.S. assets. There was a UAMF that was passed earlier on in the early 2000s that basically gives the executive branch exclusive ability to launch airstrikes into things that would threaten U.S. lives or U.S. interests. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, everyone.
That actually was very helpful. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
When they vote those kinds of things in, um, yeah, you're gonna maybe see that shit come back to bite you in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it was around 2002 after the initial, oh, I'm sorry, the second entrance into Iraq. Can say pilots are supposed to go radio silent at 11,000 feet for ATC to communicate. Yep, except the plane was downed at 7,975.
That is oddly specific.
That was the last transmission.
Ah. So what do you think's going to happen going forward then, Trups?
Well, I think Trudeau is pissed.
Why?
Because they killed 52 civilians, or 52 to 56, I forget which number, of Canadian citizens.
What will he do?
Well, that depends. Does he want to put on his big boy pants today?
Nah, he'll probably go put some blackface on instead.
But okay, so there was a meme that I sent Meg earlier today.
Oh, hang on. Which one? You sent so many memes.
You're welcome. I am here to fucking entertain you.
I'd
at
go
least
to my
during
phone.
my
Look,
my time at work.
What it is? 4 memes. Oh, for fuck's sake! What have you done?
No. Give him the undercover time one.
Oh, hang on. I have to go and get it.
Oh, here, I'll post it in sources for you.
Go give it to me, and I'll take Tilly off the screen.
Hell yeah!
Oh Jesus!
There you go.
Yeah, that's the one.
I fucking love this picture. It's hilarious. But
right.
yes, I sent you multiple memes, and that's because I want you to laugh while I'm at work.
For those who, yeah, I was working a lot actually. For those who don't know, after last week's stream, Trups has been spamming me with a lot of memes. He did on that Friday, especially. You sent so many memes that night.
Yes, because the memes of World War III were so fucking good.
Wait, why is it there, and why is it the wrong way round? Ah, transform the image. Rotate clockwise 90 degrees.
Prospero, I didn't know what year it was even signed in, so you think I know what fucking Middle Eastern country we were in at the time? I'm lucky that I was in the right fucking region and wasn't talking about Korea.
Wait, Korea's a real place?
I don't know. We had a Korean War, but I don't remember anything about it.
I think, wasn't that on MASH?
Sure.
It's a lie.
But yeah, so this was the funniest fucking thing I found today, which was actually sent to me by another friend of mine who's an IT manager at another company.
Well, it's nice to get the hand-me-down.
Yeah, well, I pass them along to those who I appreciate, I think will appreciate them.
Oh, I thought it was a cracking meme, to be fair. It's just it's very appropriate.
Yeah, what will Trudeau do? I don't know. He'll don blackface again. He'll go infiltrate the Iranian government and see if he can pass them off as his Alala brothers.
You know they're gonna out him the moment he says a boot.
Eh?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry there. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean.
Are you Irish now?
Don't worry about it. I'm sorry. I don't worry about it. I gotta be a real Canadian accent. Yeah?
I can't tell if that's Canadian or Irish. I really can't.
Okay, so our Midwest, our northern Midwest, so like Wisconsin, has that kind of accent too. Really? It's like vaguely Canadian. If you get into like Montreal and Quebec, it's just fucking French.
So I've heard, since Quebec is just France.
Yeah, basically. I have to deal with a lot of people from Montreal. They only speak French. It's really fucking hard.
It's not too difficult.
Aladdin has landed. Actually, funny thing about this whole ordeal in the Middle East, there was a poll that went out that said, should Trump nuke Agrabah?
God.
Yes, he should. Or no, this is insane. And a lot of people clicked yes, but ironically. And I just know that poll is going to be used for like, oh my God, look how stupid Trump supporters are. Like, no, this is a joke. It is a joke. We know that but somebody made a very good point. They were like, we need to nuke Agrabah because the genie has too much power. And I was like, all right, that's fair.
Fair enough. Jesus.
He was recording the sky before the rocket could even be seen. I know, weird, right?
How
Almost
unusual.
like he knew that there was a missile that was launched.
Yeah, that's just a coincidence. Nothing more.
I mean, somebody was filming the Twin Towers.
Lexi, no one wants to know about your little fetish with cumulonimbus clouds.
I'm sorry?
She's a thing for
What?
cool clouds.
Clouds are cool. Yeah, I'm down.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's Iran right now.
Yeah, that's Iran. We don't really honestly. That's the last thing, actually. Oddly enough, I will, for the sake of it, because this was drawn. I did put it at the beginning of the stream. Didn't really have much time to appreciate it. Barnier. I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. I'm not going to talk about Brexit. There's no real need, but okay, there we go. It was in the title. There's Brexit. You're welcome, everyone. Yeah, nothing really to add to that. Before we finish, because we are overdue, what do you have anything you would like to shill?
Not really. I'm getting back into my swing. I released a video earlier this week about um popular culture and the Australia fires.
Okay.
Go check that out on my channel if you'd like to go find out what I had to say about it.
I am doing bugger all weekend because I'm going to enjoy the weekend a bit.
Yeah, enjoying the weekends. That's fun.
And to Lexi, cumulonimbus is a type of cloud. Go learn clouds if you like taking photos of them. You're welcome, by the way. I know this because I'm intelligent, okay?
Yes, of course.
I say this only to her because she's scum from a town next to where I grew up. So, thank you all
Doesn't
very
say a whole lot about the town where you grew up, though.
True, but all towns have a bad egg, and in our case, it's our neighbour.
Patriarch, you should be ashamed of yourself for that good pun.
Ah, well done, patriarch of the Sith.
Also, no, I have to talk to the other Sith, unfortunately. I just remembered.
Noted. The other Sith
Yeah.
happens to be Lexi's partner.
Lexi, tell your partner that I would like to play Red Dead with him at some point.
Ah, see? That is the right one as well. White Sith male, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you all for joining us. We should be back here next week, same time, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully things will get even spicier then. So thank you all for joining. Thank you for the donation. I will be sure to pass it on. Say goodnight, Traps.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Traps.